Hello and welcome to Drinkshares Last Call, where our brand is no shame and we do our best drinking on the internet. My name's Christine Brennicky, and I'm going to introduce my co by asking them a secret question. So everyone pay attention. The question is, if you had to dance with the last person to introduce themselves, what kind of dance would it be? So, any volunteers for who goes first?
Who do you, if you're
so the first person says what kind of dance they would want to do with me.
Okay.
And then I'll close it up at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go first. We're going to do the robot. Oh, my name is Joe. I'm author of Lost Generation. We're going to do the robot.
Great.
That's the best robot. I'm not a good robot.
Right, who wants to dance with Joe?
Nobody.
I'm gonna pick one of you. Kara.
Okay, I'll dance with Joe. Sure. I'm Kara A.C. Weston, author of She's the End. And we would do the one dance move where one of you is a fish and the other one is fishing, and so the fishing line and reels of it. That's the one we would do.
I missed an opportunity to do the lawnmower.
Oh,
don't forget about the shopping cart.
All right.
Who's dancing with Kara?
All right. I'm Rebecca Lieber, author of Proxy, and if I were dancing with Kara, we would be doing a sensual tango.
That was going to be my answer for Kara.
Obviously, I'm leading, right? Right? I get to lead?
Yeah,
obviously. I think you'd have to.
Right?
You're taller than me.
I
mean, that's not saying much, but.
And I have a grand history of leading my friends in dancing.
I bet you're an extremely good dancer.
I'm pretty good at leading swing dancing.
You have to be pretty good at dancing to swing dance.
Well, I mean, you can learn at any level, but yeah. I can learn to tango.
You could totally tango.
So, that was John.
All right, me last. Yeah, I'm John Robin, author of Blood Dawn, and the dance I would do with Becky would be, let's see, Zumba. I like Zumba.
That's appropriate.
It's fun.
It's my high energy.
Yeah, high energy.
Oh, that's what Zumba.
So when we finally have the eventual ink on, if there's not a Zumba class with John, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Zumba,
John, do you do Zumba in real life?
What's that?
What's that?
Do you do Zumba? John.
I have done Zumba, yeah. I think they have Zumba classes at one of the gyms here where I go. So I occasionally take a class, yeah. I know how to do it.
Fantastic.
I'm not good, but I can do it.
So I guess I'll close things up. Christine Brennicky, author of 7 Shards. And if I were to dance with John, I would like it to be a disco dance with like strobe lights and tight pants.
I love that. I could take the tight pants out of the closet. Yay.
Oh. That's
Good
great.
secret question.
I like it.
So I guess we'll go in the same order and do what are you drinking, what are you reading?
All right, starting with me. So I am drinking banana bread beer. You can see if you're watching the live stream, you can see it in here. This is what Brenda picked out for me. The theme of today's show is motivation, and I was thinking about, we had Pi Day last time, and I was thinking I should get a drink that is somewhat motivation related, and it just didn't happen. It was like
I thought you were going to say you're motivated by banana bread.
Or it was like, play video games with Miro or go to the liquor store, and I was like, being a good dad probably dictates playing with your son over buying alcohol for the writing and drinking related show that you're on.
A good dad would know how to do both.
That's fair. That's fair.
Dad.
But I still have drinks. So as far as what I'm reading,
First tell us how disgusting that banana bread thing is.
It's really good.
Is it disgusting?
No, I've got
banana bread.
Look, I've
Banana
got
bread.
Like 3 of these,
That sounds
and there's
good.
more in the fridge.
Yeah.
So
I've got like 3 of these, so that's supposed like quantity outweighs the disgusting.
3 means good.
Clearly it's
I
good.
have 1,000 of these, so clearly they're not disgusting.
3 means good. Everybody knows that. And,
3 means good. Okay.
3 means good.
New rule.
so I'm still reading Unattractive Vampire. I was reading that a little bit. I went to Boston this weekend, and I was reading that a little bit on the plane. It's still good. You should still check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. I recommend it. I have a serious backlog. I still need to read. I need to read and review Unattractive Vampire and Asteroid Made of Dragons, which I both have. Yesterday, I got a alpha read of Paul Robinson's Ghosts of War.
Ooh.
So,
The whole book?
That well, I don't know if it's 100% done, but it has more than the sample chapters that he has before, and he listed it as an alpha read. So he said, hey, just check it out and give some feedback on it. So that's probably going to be my priority for right now. And then I got another package in the mail today. This is another one of the original Sword and Laser books,
Wow.
and which means that there's just Ageless and then my book whenever we actually get to finishing it and printing it to complete the set.
Wow.
That's exciting.
So many, so close together from that contest.
Yeah, it's really good. I think that's kind of like the upside of Inkshares there is kind of like a wait time from when you pre-order a book to when you get it. But if you pre-order a lot of books, it's like you're getting a new book every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's just like you just
Once
have to
it starts.
Yeah, you have to like set the backlog, and like once you have a backlog in place, or in the future when there's lots more Inkshares books, you could like just buy a bunch of books whenever you wanted, which you should do. But it's kind of fun to I forgot, I didn't realize this one was coming out. They send you the emails, but then you just lose track of them. So when I got this one, it was like kind of a surprise. When I get an Inkshares book, it's like, which Inkshares book is this? So I could have multiple coming at one time.
Nice.
Yeah, the first Inkshares book that I ordered was One Murder More.
Mm-hmm.
That was the very first one that I read, and it came, and it's hardcover, so beautiful. It just looks so good, and it made me have a lot more confidence in the company.
Yeah.
I haven't bought any of the hardcovers yet.
Smell it.
There's smelling it again.
I think you gotta smell the book. I didn't smell Multiverse Theory yet.
Oh, there's
How's it smell?
live smell.
Live smell. This is first impressions of smell.
How does it smell?
It smells pretty good.
Tell us.
Does it smell like San Francisco?
What? No, I don't think so.
Why do I have a feeling if it smelled like San Francisco, it smelled like patchouli?
No, it would smell like new plastic, like tech sector.
Like burning wires.
I'll be right back. I gotta get another book to smell so I can compare them.
What?
On that note, Kara.
Okay, I am drinking
All right.
cranberry juice and rum.
So,
No,
sorry
Joe.
to interrupt.
Joe is back. Okay, fine.
But I'm back. So I have Asteroid Made of Dragons in the other room. I didn't want to delay too long, but I've got Practical Applications of Multiverse Theory. I've got Life Engineered, and I've got Unattractive Vampire, and we're going to do a smell test on them. If they smell different. Okay.
Give us notes on each one.
Yeah, should I? Okay, this one smells papery. Kind of
Like parchment.
I'm getting like a library vibe off of it. It smells fresh. This one it still smells papery, but it doesn't smell as fresh. So
More stale.
yeah,
Have you read it all the way through?
this one. Yeah, I reviewed this one.
So the new book smell wafted away as you turned.
Yeah.
The page.
Yeah, actually, I read the ebook. So this one, I think just from the aspect of like being in my house with the dogs, like does not smell
Now it
as
smells
fresh.
like a dog.
It smells less like a library. So it doesn't have that kind of like library.
More like a at-home bookshelf.
What
And
does
this
an ebook smell like, Joe? Is it like ones and zeros, or?
I don't know. I don't know where the Kindle is. I don't want to waste more time by trying to dig up a Kindle and smell it. So So this one, Multiverse, smells fruity.
Oh, what?
So this one has kind of like a fruit vibe to it.
What type
You
of
still have
fruit?
like the paper, but there's like a little bit of fruit in it. And I mean, it was sitting on top of my apple, so I don't know if that's the case, but
Maybe someone at Drinkshares just has a crush on you
Explain
and sprayed perfume on it before they sent it to you.
these are the books. Buy them, smell them. Highly recommend it, and then we can
Okay, yeah,
Wait,
step
back
off
to
my
it.
time.
get the train back on the track.
Okay, well, I am not going to run off and get it to show you, because I assume someone else has it, but if you don't, I will. I just finished Asteroid Made of Dragons. Yes, there it is. Uh-huh. It's a beautiful book. I started reading it on the Kindle because I got it as an ebook because I don't know what was wrong with me, but I didn't originally order it as a paperback. So I had it on the Kindle, and I was reading it, but I just want to have the book in my hands, so I also ordered it paperback, and it finally came, so I finished it, and it was really good. I really liked it. I keep thinking the characters are my babies. I love them so much. And they're good. They're good characters. I gotta read the first 2 books because there are other adventures with these characters, and I want to read that immediately.
The first one was available in audiobook.
Yeah, I think we got one of those, I think, from Derek. My one complaint, well, I have several complaints, but they're petty and, minor. I wish it were longer. It's a pretty short book, and I wish it were longer. Wish we got to spend more time with the characters.
That was the same
Someone
argument.
else mentioned that. Yeah.
With Life Engineered, got a lot of because that was
Wish
like
it were longer.
I mean, like I burned through that book in like 2 days. It was a super quick read.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Asteroid Made of Dragons is not very much longer than.
Yeah. Note to Inkshares authors: write longer books.
Write longer books.
I'm working on it. Don't worry about that.
I know, right?
John's
My book is
John's
Yeah.
gonna
At the rate I'm going,
It's like
I think I got
slower
one.
books that are going to be the monsters.
It's gonna be big enough to like smack somebody on the head and kill them.
And kill them.
John's is like 6 books in one, so it's like we're good.
Yeah.
We're
That's
good
it.
for a link. He'll make up
It's
links
about
for
as
everybody
long
else.
as the first Game of Thrones book. Maybe not quite as long, but pretty close. So.
Okay, that's a
We'll
good
keep
gauge
it
for
playing
people who
about
are
night.
fans. How long is that? How long is that, John?
It's well, right now the manuscript is at 270,000 words. When I go over and do my revisions, it'll probably increase because I need to develop some of the earlier introduced to characters a little more, just to balance it out. So it'll probably be close to 300,000, which, yeah, I think Game of Thrones is 298,000. So
Yeah, right in that ballpark.
yeah.
What was Deathly Hallows in the last couple of Harry Potter books? Anybody know what those were at? I know those were.
I don't know. Somebody Google it.
I will take on the task.
I'm already on it.
Unless you beat me.
Oh, race. Go, go.
Okay, you win.
You're welcome. My book is probably I'm aiming for 150,000, but it's probably going to be like 160.
Yeah, I think mine will probably be about 90,000 words, but I really don't know yet.
All right. According to
Whatever
the
it takes to
fancy
tell the
little graphic that I found, it lays out all of the books, and it says that Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, depending on which side of the pond you're on, was 76,944. Chamber of Secrets was 85,141. Prisoner of Azkaban was 170,253. Goblet of Fire was 190,637. Order of the Phoenix looks like it is the longest at 257,045. Half-Blood Prince, 168,923, and then Deathly Hallows comes in at 198,227.
Oh. I thought that every book was a little bit longer than the previous, so that's interesting.
I think I read something where I think it was Order of the Phoenix where she discovered that there was a huge plot hole in it at a certain point, and so she needed to add a bunch of content to fix that.
Oh, yeah?
Interesting.
Oh, that's funny.
This is an
I wonder
article.
what's going to happen if some of my beta readers come back to me and are like, there's a huge pothole.
Yeah.
You have to fix it.
It's good to have the beta readers find that before it goes to production, because at least you have time to do some rewrites and resolve it.
That's for sure. That's what Alex does for me, though. He's merciless. He points out every little thing that doesn't make sense.
The A in AC Weston.
The A in AC Weston is my husband, Alex. He's my developmental editor.
Wait, and I got into an argument when he was reading a chapter of mine the other day because he tried to tell me it didn't make sense, and I tried to tell him he was wrong. Like, no, it makes sense. You have to remember stuff from other parts of the book.
Yeah, it is a delicate relationship. You know, I've had to teach him how to give feedback kindly because he's used to like attacking viciously to prove his point. That's how his band works. They just fight each other until one person comes out on top.
Raging testosterone.
Not really. I don't know. Maybe, but I had to teach him to be kind. Ask questions for clarification instead of saying,
they're all
this is wrong and you need to change it.
See, with Wyatt, it's like, okay, Wyatt, what'd you think? Can you give me some critical feedback? And he'd be like, I liked it. Okay, what'd you like? I liked this part. This part was good. Thanks.
Yeah, the best kind of editing. I think the best kind of editing is where you ask lots of questions, and it's not I'm right, you're wrong. It's more what's going on here. Have another look at this because I'm thrown off. And I think a good editor knows how to stand on that subjective ground and pose something that invites collaboration rather than
like marking up all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman had a great
It's got different styles.
that talked about like getting feedback. Let me see if I can find it because I'm going to misquote it if I try. I can't find it. Anyway.
Who's next?
Wait, Kara, did you say what you were drinking?
Becky.
Yeah, I did. It's cranberry and red.
Oh, you did that first. That's right.
Yeah.
I got in the way with my book smelling, and
You did, yeah.
Yes, you did. Got in the way.
Becky.
Derailed.
Sorry, I was trying to segue into it. I thought I was talking, and then I must not have been heard. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just talking, and then someone was like, "Hey, Becky, go," and I'm like, "I'm going."
Huh.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Internet's being weird tonight.
Maybe. Because our lower thirds won't work. We don't exist without lower thirds.
That's true.
No, I was trying to find a quote that I read one time by Neil Gaiman that I really liked, and I'm going to misquote it because I couldn't find it fast enough, but I'm going to use it to segue into what I'm reading because I'm finishing a Neil Gaiman book. But the quote was something along the lines of, when somebody tells you something doesn't work, they're right, but when they try to tell you how to fix it, they're wrong. And I've always really liked that and taken it to heart because it's true in a way. So, but segueing with that, I'm a couple chapters up from finishing American Gods.
Yes.
I am currently drinking what is called Dr. McGillicuddy's Cherry Liqueur. It's very good. I mixed it with a little bit of ginger ale. That's what I was looking for.
It's not very good at
it tastes like any kind of cherry soda you've ever had. It's very smooth. Doesn't taste like alcohol.
I
What's
like
that?
Things that start with
Shirley
doctor.
Temple.
Kind of, except if I would have mixed it with 7-Up, I bet it would have tasted like an alcoholic Shirley Temple. This one's a little bit more sweeter. So, but it's good.
Drunken child.
And then I went to my local library today for the first time, and I felt like a moron for not doing it sooner because we have an amazing library. And I took out 3 books, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to start next because one of them is Sacre Bleu by Christopher Moore. And I talked about him in our first episode because he's one of my inspiration authors. So I thought since we were just talking about inspiration, maybe I should catch up on some of his newer work since I haven't had a chance to. It's basically a book about Vincent van Gogh and the time period of France right around like the time of Moulin Rouge and the artistic revolution that's going on. But it is referred to as, let's see, a comedy of art. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
The other one that I picked up is called Fin Fancy Necromancy
That's a cool
And
title.
it is. And one of my characters is named Finn, and I like the idea of necromancy, so I checked into it. And basically, from the synopsis, he is getting framed for being a necromancer, and people start dying because of necromancy, and he has to find out who's really doing it. So there's that one. And then Wyatt wanted me to read Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill, because he really liked it. And I read Horns, and I did really, really like that, and I liked the movie as well. Joe Hill, for those of you who don't know, is Stephen King's son. So he has written 3 or 4 full-length novels and a collection of short stories about ghosts that I actually picked up at the library today for Wyatt to read. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to start next, but I'm almost finished with American Gods. So
Nice.
All right, is it
up to John?
my turn now? Yeah. Well, today I actually have quite a bad cold. I came down with this cold or flu. I'm not sure what it is. But I fancy alcoholic drink. I was maybe going to do a hot toddy, since that's a nice, relaxing drink for my throat. But Kara actually told me that I should look after myself. So I'm drinking
You should.
Citron, like a responsible
Sorry
boy.
to mom you.
No, it was
Kinda
good.
can't help it.
I think it was a good idea. So this is my comfort drink for tonight. I also have a bottle of water just to keep hydrated. So
That's smart for everyone.
if you hear me coughing or if I'm crackly later, that's just my cold. So don't mind me. As far as what I'm reading, I think the last time we were on, I was still reading J.F. Dubos's The Life Engineered. I'm still reading it. I actually had to interrupt my reading schedule for a while due to an editing project that I took on, but I'm now back into it, and I generally read about a chapter a day. That's all I really have time to read right now. His imagination for the different types of machines is just fascinating, and the way he's envisioned this future world. And also I find his writing is very visual. So as I'm reading it, it's like coming to life in front of me like a movie. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm kind of saving up all my thoughts for the end when I'm going to leave it a review. Yeah, that's my nightly reading. Hopefully the next episode I'll be moving on to. Will Aegis be out in 2 weeks' time? I know it's April, I think.
I don't know what the release date is. I don't think I've got an email that it's shipped yet.
Yeah. I'd like to read Aegis next, but that's part of it is JF and Paul have been just amazing supporters, and I was really grateful for them inviting me on their show. So I figured I would try to read their books first when they come out and leave them review and spread the word.
Tell our audience about their show.
What's that?
Tell our audience about their show.
And our rivalry.
Yeah, okay. So there's this podcast. It's called Right Brain, and how many episodes have they done now? I think they must be
17 or 18.
Yeah, I think 17.
They're getting up there, and so they talk. They talk a little bit more about craft and industry. I think more the publishing side, crowdfunding, and some of the issues they run. I think they often will bring on either other authors or they'll feature different books or different members of the Inkshares community. So they had me as their first guest. That was the episode where they said there was a threesome. So I think they've had more since, but I'm behind on a lot of different things that are out there. So I've been kind of paying attention passively. I know JF had that episode he shared about his trip to San Francisco.
Yes, his very drunk
episode. And I tuned into that. That was a good. No.
Well, there's 2 episodes with that, because there's the episode in San Francisco, and then there's the episode
the one after. Yeah, that's the one.
That's right. So that's me for reading. I guess. Nothing too big there. I don't read multiple books at once. I find I like to focus on one and really immerse myself in it. My reading time is usually at bed. Like after I unwind, I lie down and I have Life Engineered on my it's in my iPhone. So I read it in iBooks, and I have that smart. I think it's called Night Shift. So it's a different lighting on the iPhone that doesn't stimulate you. So I find it very relaxing. It's the best time to read.
That's awesome. So I guess it's my turn. What am I drinking? What am I reading? We picked up like a variety pack of Smirnoff Ices last week, so I'm trying the Peach Bellini, which is really not bad.
Peach is my favorite, said Black.
Yeah, it's no complaints. It's pretty tasty.
We have very similar tastes because peach and blackberry are my favorites too.
So good. We should go drinking together someday.
Why have we not already?
Because we live in different states. Very sad.
Just that.
Semantics.
Very sad. I'm trying to work out WisCon. I'm trying to work it out. So maybe that might be coming up.
I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do that with it being the same weekend as 2 graduations I probably should be at, so we'll see.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, Christine, what are you drinking? What are you reading?
Right, that's what I'm drinking. I am just starting an asteroid made of dragons, so I'll be able to discuss that with Kara soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting.
I'm just gonna kill myself.
It's good. I can tell you all about it, but I won't.
Not yet. Not yet.
I need to talk about that framing device. I want somebody to like tease it out with me, because I need to think about it more, figure out what he was doing with it. He's definitely a really smart guy. He's a really smart writer. Derek Adams. 10 out of 10 would
very
recommend.
witty. I think his style is very similar to Piers Anthony wit.
Impressive.
Yeah, the Publisher's Weekly review said Terry Pratchett.
Ooh.
Yeah. Is that what's on the cover? I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, alright, so I guess let's move on to our main topic. Tonight we're going to talk about motivation, which is something that I think we really have, I don't know about you guys, but when I was first telling people that I wrote a book, a lot of people were like, oh man, I always wanted to write a book, and I would always be like, well, do it. But I think a lot of people struggle with getting actually motivated to go and do the thing that they want to do. So yeah, so I just wanted to get started and maybe ask everyone how they first got motivated to actually tackle the big task of writing an entire book.
That's a great question.
I missed part of that because there was some audio bleed interference going on in the background, and I was getting lost in it.
Sorry, I'm taking care of it.
The ADD just went off on this space tangent where I lost everything that just came out, but everybody can.
I was wondering
please
if we
continue.
had
I'll pick up to the conversation.
That's fine. So we just want to get into, how did you get motivated to actually sit down and tackle writing an entire book, where you go from, oh, I'd like to write a book, to actually doing it.
That's great.
Story.
I don't think that I don't think that I needed motivation to start writing books, because ever since I learned to write, I have been writing books. So
you started writing when you were quite young, I guess?
6.
Oh,
probably.
Wow.
Yeah, just
a lifelong writer.
Book. It was probably 5 pages long, but still, I don't know. It's part of how I interpret life. It doesn't take motivation to start writing a book. It takes motivation to finish it.
To finish. Yeah.
Finish is what I need motivation
talk about
for.
that too, because I think that's even bigger than starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a big hurdle to jump over to get me to start. I have a lot of ideas in my head.
I definitely relate to the starting is not hard. It's finishing. I mean, I don't think I was able to finish anything for like 12 years after I first started writing. It was only about 9 years ago that I actually got to the end of a novel, having to write it again to get it right. So, but the first time I actually made it to the end, what I found helped is I killed my inner perfectionist. I just wrote. I think it's very much like the spirit of NaNoWriMo. It's get to the end of the draft. You know, you can revise later. I mean, I wasn't
Get
able
the
to
words
salvage
on the
it.
page.
Yeah, and you know, I think as
The
an
story
exercise,
more than the words.
that's right. And I think until you get that first time getting through, you can't move to the next again and saying, "Hey, I could do this again." It wasn't magic. And you know, I think a lot of debut authors will confess that they have 3 or more dead manuscripts in their desk, or, you know, in their hard drive.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sure
you know,
even more than that.
That's right. So I think, you know, it's not just you magically sit down and write a perfect novel. You know, getting to the end is a huge thing, but then doing it again and seeing yourself improve is just great.
JF has a vampire novel that he won't share with anybody. So we got to use our collective Inkshares power to someday weasel that out of him or
pry it away.
I think this is a fun side question. What was the topic or premise of the very first book that you ever wrote?
Oh no.
Or maybe the first one
No
you
one
ever
wants
finished.
to say.
No, I'll tell you guys the first book.
I'll go
the
in.
first one that I ever wrote.
I actually
Okay, wait.
have the first copy of the first thing I ever wrote. Should I grab it? It's like right over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go do
let's
it.
do
it.
It's so embarrassing. I wrote it in 4th grade.
No, that's awesome.
That's
Go
I'll
do
be
it.
right back.
Joe, what's yours?
Mine was heavily Final Fantasy inspired. I wrote it in high school, so it was. Jeez, what was the premise of it? I don't even know if there was a premise. It's just
Yours just
a guy meets a girl, and then they go on a date, and then demons show up and kill him, and then he's in the underworld, and then he needs to train to be good to come back and overthrow an evil government. So, you know, basic YA stuff.
Does he ever finish the date?
I don't believe so.
Is the girl secretly evil?
No.
Yeah.
No, but there is an evil. There isn't, you know, a corrupt government and people living in like all the rich people live above all the poor people. And
I like how it sounds like it starts out very simple, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's crazy stuff.
Shit gets real. Shit gets real. It goes from like, here's some like people having a good old time to like, oops, I was on my way to a date and demons killed me. So, you know, stuff
That's
happens.
a twist.
Yeah, it was a hell of a twist.
That's a twist.
Yeah, and so that was my first book. I actually have it. I don't have it electronically because it was on a floppy disk, but I think most of it. I'm not sure if it's all of it. I haven't looked over it, but I think most of it in a printout sitting upstairs. And one day when I've got some free time, I'll look over it and see if there's anything I can salvage from it. It'll be fun. At the very least, it'll be fun to read.
Yeah. You know, Becky's getting her 4th grade thing, and I'm realizing that I have something I wrote in 6th grade.
Ooh.
But I wasn't going to name that. I was going to talk about the first, well, longer than 15 pages thing that I wrote.
Yeah, I got a short one before that where there is a kid and an evil king, and he has to go to the moon to fight him.
That makes about as much sense as my story right here.
It's kind of like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Becky, what's yours? Show us.
Oh my god, this is like bearing my soul. Okay, so when I was in 4th grade, I had a very wonderful 4th grade teacher. Her name was Miss Hubble. She was my favorite elementary teacher. She was also the one that encouraged me to go into acting and theater. And so we all wrote stories in class, and she bound them for us. And so we wrote them, we sketched them and illustrated them, and then she bound them for us. And my story is called Crystal Will Be Queen by Becky Sponsler. And
I like how huge that book is.
it's basically like a folder
It's 4th grade. Cut the teacher some slack.
I'm pretty
Come
sure
on.
there's wrapping paper on the outside of it.
This is an awesome project.
Yeah.
I also had on the inside, I had a dedication, and it was brought to you by Becky's Business Company. So the basic, if I remember correctly from the story, I was kind of hopping through to try and refresh myself. The reason the character's name was Crystal was because that was my favorite name when I was a kid. So when I played dolls and stuff, my dolls were always named Crystal. And so she was the good person. And then there was this, she was a princess, and there was this evil princess named Dominique. And they were from 2 different kingdoms, and they wanted to merge the kingdoms together. And they had to have a test.
Arranged marriage?
No, like they were just going to merge the 2 together, not like a marriage or anything. And there's 2 different princesses, and like Crystal was the kind-hearted, like good one, and Dominique was the mean, evil, terrible one. And what they were going to do is have a test to see who was worthy of being the queen, and then the people of both kingdoms would choose one person to be their queen. And then Dominique like kidnaps Crystal or something, and then Crystal ends up in the woods, and she meets a bear, and the bear's actually a prince. And he's cursed, and then there's like a snake that helps the prince. I don't know.
There's fantastic fairy tale.
It was the worst. It was literally the worst. And so, yeah, it gets to the end, and Dominique gets turned into a frog.
I love it.
Just polish that thing up and put it on Drinkshares.
I should. I really should. It should be a children's book.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, actually, I was going to say this
How not to write a book.
I was going to say this in the What Are You Reading, which is not, it wasn't really reading, but I watched Women Slaying Sci-Fi on the plane back from Boston this yesterday. And that, if anybody is watching this that hasn't seen that, I think that you guys should listen to that. It's on YouTube. All you gotta do is search Women Slaying Sci-Fi. It's easy to find.
Or I have it posted several times on my Twitter, so if you go
you should stumble across it easy. But
I'm pretty sure Drinkshares tweeted it out.
I think I did too, and I'm sure because it was Amanda Ornick, it was Elena, May, Darcy, R.H. Webster, and Kara. So I'm sure if you went to any of their Twitters, you can find a link to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, I listened to it on the whole thing back, and I mean, it goes some really interesting places, and it's a really good discussion. So if you're interested in sci-fi or women in sci-fi, you should check that out because it's really good. It's a good discussion. I mean, it brings up some really important points, and it's definitely worth a listen. I learned about a Space Train Mysteries while I was watching it, which is from Timothy Zahn, which wrote my favorite Star Wars books, so I'm going to have to check that out. And then also the idea of Princess Noir?
Princess Noir.
Soon to come.
I heard doing an anthology of short stories.
Yeah, a future Inkshares anthology. So I'm very interested in that. I definitely I'm a follower on day one on that.
That's gonna be so much fun.
Alex told me that the idea sells itself. That we just gotta execute some good stories and people will read it. And I think he's totally right.
Well, I think the thing we have to decide is: are we going to make all the stories interweave with each other, or just like choose one theme that all of the stories kind of fall into?
I feel like they should all just be standalone. They should just be Princess Noir and let the writer do whatever they want with it. You know.
Let us interpret the concept.
Yeah, because it's going to be interesting. You have is it 5 different? Is it 5 all together? All you guys?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 5 of them.
5 different writers taking that one concept and then just doing whatever inspires them.
Have you guys called dibs on the other princesses yet?
What?
Oh, right, specific princesses?
Yeah, have you guys called dibs on the other ones since... I like how I totally weaseled my way into this, by the way. That just happened.
Jumped in. It's great.
But, because I called The Little Mermaid, and I was wondering if you guys had talked about which princesses you would want.
I am going to create a new princess. I'm not...
Yeah, does it have to be it doesn't have to be an official princess. It seems like if you do, like, Little Mermaid, do you have to just allude to Little Mermaid? Does it, like,
no, Little Mermaid's public domain.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the original Hans Christian Andersen story. Yeah, and it's totally different from the Disney version. Mm-hmm. It's totally different.
Yeah. It's like Little Schmermaid.
Oh.
I remember reading the Little Mermaid story when I was a kid and be like, this is bullshit. This isn't what happens.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, it's like super different. Yeah.
Okay, can I tell you about my book when I was a kid?
Yeah, lay it on us.
Well, I'm not going to go get it, but the very first one, so this is the 6th grade one, where we did the same thing. We had the little books that we actually got to take home and we illustrated it ourselves and everything. And mine was called Black Pearls Can Be Deadly.
Wow, way better than mine.
Yeah. It was about this group of kids on a field trip to Colombia or something. They went to South America, and they this black pearl with a diamond at the center had been stolen by thieves, and they find it. The thieves lost it, and they found it, and now the thieves are after them, and it's this race through the city to escape the bad guys who are chasing these teenagers, and most of them die. It has a very dark ending. Very bloody.
Wow.
I don't know why my family wasn't more worried about me. I just like action movies a lot. I really like action movies.
That's amazing.
And
well,
then
if
the
you
first
find that,
longer
you can
one.
share it.
Well, it's over there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going upstairs and
I
grabbing
went and got mine. I got it right here.
I'm
you did?
thinking about doing like an unfiltered live read of part of my
No.
Oh wow.
We could do a quote.
I'm not gonna do a big section. I just thought since we were doing lines from books, I thought it'd be interesting to just pull like a paragraph off of it and see
See how it reminisce
he
about
whispered
how
suggestively as he looked into her hazel green eyes.
Yeah, I think if we're going to do one line from our childhood books, it has to be clearly the worst line.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I saved your life.
So I want to hear about John's, and then I'll go grab mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and I grabbed this because I kept my first attempt to write. I was sort of convinced of this. I don't know, like a magic to the process. If I wrote it by pencil, that I could get through. Because I tried forever to write a book in the computer, and I would always go in circles.
Mm-hmm.
So what I find book, it's called 2112. No relation at all to the Rush album. In fact, I didn't even know about the Rush album until some fan told me, oh, Rush has an album called 2112. But I basically wrote this all by hand, and I would guess the word count is around 180,000. It's actually a science fiction book. It's about a family from the year 1992 that gets teleported into the year of a advanced AI experiment gone wrong. And so it's like their adventures trying to adjust to the future machine-controlled world and basically trying to get home, only to find they're at the heart of some big conspiracy. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't actually a mistake that they ended up there. So unfortunately, when I sat with this book for a while, I was fortunate to meet a retired New York editor who took me under his wing. And he was, you mentioned Alex, will give you some critical feedback. Oh boy, he probably made that look nice. There were F words and everything. Like,
oh my gosh, really?
oh yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, I mean, I learned a lot from him. It was a really good learning experience. The biggest thing for me is I didn't rush to self-publish. He helped me recognize that I still could do a lot more writing, and ultimately I moved on to something fresh and tried it again. And after I got work, I was more able to say, all right, well, I'll write a third one. Like Blood Dawn is actually my fourth. So I've been at this 9 years, and there's a trail of manuscripts. The third one I actually did write in the computer. So I finally convinced myself I don't need to write it by hand. So thankfully no hand cramps, because that was like one of the big problems I had writing longhand. You can only write for so long before you get tired.
Or that one part of your finger gets
that's my
hard.
That was
I have
a
a permanent callus on me right here from handwriting.
Oh,
me too.
Oh yeah.
I've got a spot here because I hold a pencil weird, so
I press very hard
Where's
when
your
I write.
spot?
Yeah, so when you go, I'm gonna see if I can do that. Forget that I forgot to cut my fingernails, so they're super long. But there is a permanent
Right there?
dent here where I can put my finger. See how I can put my finger that far into my finger? Like I've worn away the bone from writing. So that's why I do more computer than I do regular writing because it really hurts to write sometimes with that because it's like it is permanently, I don't know, it's kind of hard to get it on the camera, but it's permanently like kind of like a red, like worn down, like it's like somebody sanded my finger. So at Incon, if anybody wants to feel free finger feel for
We're
like.
gonna have a whole booth
The
just.
first thing we'll want to do.
We're gonna sell tickets to Phil Joe's
It's like
finger
it's like a kissing booth of like, do you want to like touch the part where Joe doesn't have a finger? I kind of got
sell tickets to not have to touch your finger.
different people are into different things. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to judge anybody for what they like to touch.
And that's how we ended up marrying Brenda.
That's like completely different reasons for that. And that's actually what made me start writing more on the computer because, like John, I wrote a lot of stuff freehand, and it was actually really hard to transition to computer because I like kind of like made the connections in my brain with like pen to the paper, and the process a little slower, I think. So it kind of like helped get the thoughts out, and then just trying to like switch to computer so that my finger wouldn't fall off was really difficult for me. And I think I still feel like it's difficult to get the thoughts out sometime on the computer. It's a lot easier to get it out on paper.
Yeah, very true.
So
I included a really dramatic little eye as the number thing.
Ooh.
Yours is like properly
fancy.
bound and printed. Mine
Now,
is.
these are papers printed
handwritten.
out that we cut out and glued in.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because
It's
mine
not
is
properly
like
printed.
hand drawn, handwritten,
Yeah.
terrible.
Good time. One of the kids.
John, what age was your book from? That
I
wasn't.
mean, how old was I?
Yeah, that wasn't like a elementary school thing.
Oh no, like I didn't succeed at getting to the end of a novel until I was in my early 20s. So I've been trying to write fantasy stories since I was about 13, and most of them are just dead ends. They just started and never went anywhere, and like a lot of times I would just give up on writing for 8-9 months, and I'd come back and write something else. It was like a back and forth thing. So yeah, I'm trying to think how old I was. It was 9 years ago, so should I admit how old I am? Well, we're all a similar age, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're all around the same age. Yeah.
I think I'm the
24.
baby.
Youngster.
Yeah,
I think baby.
I'm the physical baby and the Inkshares baby.
Or the Drinkshares baby.
Drinkshares baby, Inkshares baby, because like out of all of us, I'm,
younger people on Inkshares.
no, but out of all of us, I am the
Yeah.
least have spent the least amount of time on Inkshares.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mostly because you guys all have books that are going to be published, and mine's still a draft. So, but
Guys.
hopefully this summer.
Guys, I wanted to be a paleontologist.
Ooh.
Oh.
I was still in my
How's that going?
paleontology phase. Well, my last line is, she hopes to get more of her poetry and short stories published. This is the author's book. Or even write a best-selling book.
Well, there you go. You're on that path.
Well, I hope so. Little Kara. Little Kara.
Yeah, I guess I'm like not sentimental because I know I had books like that in elementary school that went through that same kind of process, but I don't know if I still have them or not.
Well, that's okay. This is
Maybe
one
I'll
of-
find them someday.
This is the only thing I have left. Out of many things
Out of the things
that I wrote. I wrote a lot.
Mm.
What I did with my life
Ooh.
as a child. I wrote.
Yeah.
I had notebooks and notebooks and notebooks, but most of what I wrote when I was younger, especially in like middle school, was fan fiction before I realized there was such a thing as fan fiction. And so whatever movie I was really, really into at the time, I basically just inserted myself and whatever
really?
boy I was crushing on at the time and wrote almost exactly the same story. It was just different. I was basically pulling a Stephanie Meyer.
There's a grand tradition of that. Grand
Yeah.
Good. That's a great way to learn.
I think it's very common. You see a lot of that in early novels where there's a lot of autobiographical things, and you gradually start to get into, once you've had to say all the things about your own life, you start moving on to other stuff.
All right, you guys ready for this part that I almost choked on when I read?
Bring it on.
This is just a cutout from like the first section. So he jumps into this guy talking to this lady, and it goes, "For a moment, she curiously tilted her head, slightly examining Calenti. 'Excuse me, Calenti, right?' Her voice was high and sweet, like a fresh nectarine on a perfect summer morning, chiming the perfect notes of speech that caught a man's ear."
So, in your downtime in college, you paid your way through by writing Harlequin novels, am I wrong?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I was like, I don't know, 16 or 17.
Okay.
So flowery.
That's good.
Oh yeah, super flowery. The most flowery. And look at this binder that it's in. It's just like a binder with dollar bills on it, and like, look at all this shit. This is too many papers. Like, this is like, you could like see like this is, and I don't know if this is like, I think it might be printed twice in here. This like, it's just like this mismatch of like, just crap and like.
You had a lot to say.
I got some words. You better believe it.
That's awesome.
Book.
Writing is great. All kids should be encouraged to write.
Yeah.
It helps you work out what's going on in your head, you know?
I think I'll just like scan it, put it into a PDF, and throw it on the internet, and hope it doesn't have anything like inflammatory about my teachers or something like that in there.
I stepped away for a second, Joe, but I just wanted to make you feel better for all of those papers you had. These are my story notes on props.
Wow.
Those are 3 binders. This one is a 3-inch binder.
Those are probably like organized and like comprehensive and make sense, and not just like.
Yeah, it makes
Like now that I've like got this thing out, like I want to actually like go through it and like just because like just reading that one paragraph made me laugh. So I'm like I gotta see what more is in the young Joe's brain.
Well,
See,
part
to
of me,
me,
the
it's-
reason I didn't want to throw away my stuff because I had like this pipe dream of thinking, oh, when I'm like rich and famous one day, people are gonna want these things. They're gonna want these scraps that I didn't throw
They
away.
will, Becky.
No, they won't.
They will
them.
want it.
You know, you can dream.
See, I always have like this.
Doesn't hurt.
It's a miracle that this one survived because I'm like the kind of person that when I don't like something, I just throw it out. So like most anything that I have from my past has been already like kind of infernoed. So this is just like a rare relic of Joe's past.
Yeah, see, I don't like reading over my stuff from when I was 16, which is the first version of this book. She's the End. It's really bad, and it makes me cringe. So I don't want to look back, you know? I don't feel happy or good.
No, but it does make you feel good to know how far you've come. Because looking at your stuff, if it's crap, and then you read your new stuff and say, man, I have really changed or grown as an author.
I can feel that way without rereading my old stuff.
maybe or shit.
Somebody
Yes.
We got a question from the audience from the
Really?
Yeah,
Your first audience question.
Who is it?
So
Oh my God,
it's from Jenna Grace, and she said, "Is everybody on Drinkshares born before 1989?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm 83.
Is she is she younger than us?
you did good there.
Jana Grace. Are you a young one? Child? A youth? She could be college age. 18 to 22? 24?
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Is she gonna tell us?
We got the mask. We got this when the Slack's open. Because 1990.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
We're getting. She says, "I am not a child."
Shocked.
I am not a child. Yeah, that's true, I
Do
guess.
some math on that.
I mean, 26.
It's hard.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
26.
It's hard because as you get older, you just think of like anybody born in the '90s as like children, even though like they're
They're
adults.
continuing to age as
Yeah,
we
and everybody
also age.
I think it's
Everybody
because when you
ages.
were in high school, they were in middle school, and so you have this distinction because there's such a maturity gap between those two age groups. Is you always kind of see yourself like that?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then
Maybe.
it's just like
They were not in middle school when I was in high school.
Well, okay, I'm only 4 years older than her, so she was definitely, when I was a senior, she would have been a freshman.
Thanks for the question,
I
Jan.
knew you guys were older because you have kids.
That's you can't assume.
Yeah, no, never assume, but I think you can tell that I was a kid of the '80s because a lot of my writing has '80s influences in it.
Joe,
So,
I guessed that we were almost the same age just because a lot of things that you have said out there on our internet conversations, I'm like, yeah, he's on the same page as my grade. You gotta be the same age.
Are we the same age?
Just about.
Yeah. See, we got this. I got really
Right,
depressed when I watched the video. It was like the first time. This is a good question for everybody, and it's not 100% on motivation, but it's important. We should ask it anyway. When was the first time you realized that you were like old? And I'm not saying like.
Oh my
What are you
God,
trying
every
to
single
say?
day. I teach high school.
Like,
The first time I tried to make a joke in class and the kids didn't get my movie reference is the day I realized I was old. Because it was actually during homecoming week, and it was 90s Day, or Decades Day or something, because we were having a music-themed homecoming. And I made a joke about a 90s movie, and not a single kid got it, and me and my inclusion teacher looked at each other like, who are these people? Like, how do you not know this movie?
What was the joke?
Classic.
Now, I don't even remember. I just remember my utter embarrassment of, like, how do you not know this reference? Like, it was so jarring to me. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I just remember my reaction to their response.
I watched a YouTube clip. This is when like I felt like my entire world was falling apart. When I watched a YouTube video where they take like teenagers and they make them touch like stuff that I am familiar with and figure out how it works. And kids didn't know. They showed these teenagers a front
Like
loading.
a rotary phone.
No, they showed them like a front loading Nintendo.
Is that a rotary phone age?
It wasn't a front. We had a rotary phone.
We had a rotary phone.
I'm just
Is that
thinking
a
the
vampire?
types of videos.
He's
Joe
not
is a
Edward
vampire.
Cullen.
So
He's not Edward Cullen, for heaven's sake.
Everyone's like Leo Tolstoy.
yeah. So they.
I know. I thought John was like at least in his late 40s for the longest time.
I would have guessed
Look at this
60.
photo.
I thought
How
he
old
was.
was Tolstoy
I
in that picture?
Yeah. So they have a video where it's kids trying to figure out how to work a front-loading Nintendo, and they don't know what it is. They don't know that it's a Nintendo. They think it's some sort of like video playing thing. And
Or like this, like the save button on everything is usually a picture of a floppy disk, but they don't know why that is the picture for saving.
Yeah, they never seen
No,
it.
it's the save button.
Joe, I remember what movie it was. We made a Ghostbusters joke.
See,
Oh.
that's shocking too, because I guess like Ghostbusters is starting to come back in popularity now,
Yeah.
but
Well, you
Like-
think of it as being such an iconic movie, regardless of your age, you know?
your kids are just like not. It's the kids who are wrong.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
be
the
honest.
kids. I've resigned myself to
Something's
this.
wrong with them.
Oh, well, I am not old, to answer your question. So that's my answer.
You never
realize
like
that-
reached a
no.
point where like somebody like didn't pick up on something that you like identify as being a known fact.
Somebody didn't pick up what you were putting down.
Well, I mean, where I work, around 60% of the workforce is eligible for retirement in the next 5 years. So I am the child. People don't get my references because they're all older than me.
I had a
And I spend a lot of time on Tumblr, so I pretty much know what kids are talking about these days. So
use all kinds of slang and
I guess I don't know all the things, but I don't know. Who does know all the things?
nobody.
I remember how embarrassed I was the day I learned what the word ratchet meant. That was fun.
I learned that from Vine. I got like that was in like a thing when like I think Vine first came out where like that was like me and Brenda's entertainment. We would just like sit on the couch and like flip through Vine videos because you could just like consume them forever.
Right.
And then we kind of fell off that because it's, I don't know, internet. And you
Does
lose
anybody else have
All right.
first
Well,
stories from their childhood to tell us about?
None that I kept.
Yeah, not for writing. I think I'm the outlier of the group because I wasn't really into writing until my 20s. I dabbled
phenomenal.
with poetry and song lyrics, I guess, when I was a teenager, but actual stories didn't come till later on.
I
So
do
what's the
have-
first book you completed?
I have not completed a book yet.
Oh, okay. So this will be the first one.
Yeah. I have
That's exciting.
a short story. Well, I guess I have a short story that's done and another one that's nearly done. But as far as a full-size novel, this will be the first.
It's
Pressure
exciting.
is on.
It is on.
The first thing that I ever finished to completion that I was happy with was a Superman Returns fan fiction.
A Superman
Like from the
Returns
movie?
fanfic.
And I put it up on fanfiction, and it was pretty popular,
Really?
and
Oh.
I was pretty happy with that, and then I let it go for a couple of years, and then when I really got back into writing, when I decided I was going to start writing this story, I kind of used fanfiction as a way of, when I couldn't think of something to write on my story, but I knew I just wanted to write and I needed to write, I would write fanfiction, and I wrote, what was it? It was a Buffy Summers, Dean Winchester, so it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer crossover Supernatural,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
that's still up on fanfiction. I'm actually really
That
proud
must
of
be
that.
popular.
It is. I wouldn't call it popular. It's popular for fan fiction, but
Well,
I'm
yeah.
really proud of that. And I've actually cannibalized stuff that I've written in that story for my other stories, like lines and specific dialogue and things. So it became like a proving ground for specific things that I wanted to use later on. So I still have that, and then I wrote part of a Hermione fan fiction of Hermione and Fred Weasley, which never finished. And then I kind of got an idea for a sequel for the Supernatural Buffy crossover, but it never came to fruition.
Hey, that's a good thing for maybe to interact with the audience a little bit, to maybe ask them what was their first writing experience.
Yeah, tell us on Twitter.
Yes.
So, yeah, what's the Twitter? The Twitter account is
Drinkshares LC.
Drinkshares at Drinkshares LC. Throw at us. If you're in the Slack channel, you can hit us in the Slack channel. Otherwise, you can tweet at
Do it
us.
publicly.
Yeah,
You can do that. It depends on how long. It depends on how long it's going to be, because Twitter.
Or
can
on the
be-
Facebook page. People
I
can
feel
write
like we
long
need-
stories on the Facebook
I feel like we need a hashtag for that, like my first story or something.
Yeah. Hashtag
That would be a good
my
one.
first story at Drinkshares LC.
Or on the Facebook
Facebook page. If you hit us now or during the live stream, we
We'll
may
read
discuss it. And
Maybe.
who's moderating? Is anybody moderating any of that stuff right now?
Are you?
No.
I have Twitter
I can
open.
open
I have
Facebook.
it open.
I don't have access to that one, so I can't check it. Well, I guess I could just put it in a viewing window for stuff. I don't know how
Yeah.
that stuff works. I'm gonna
Hopefully one of us will see it.
If I try to open a window, I'm gonna I'm already 2 beers in, and I'm gonna accidentally drop the broadcast.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
I thought you
That's
were
my
3.
fear,
and
too.
3 is good.
I'm not at 3 yet.
He's not good yet.
Yeah, I'm not
You're
good yet. I haven't reached the good level.
I'm not drinking alcohol, but this neocitrin has gone. It's pretty much. I'm feeling pretty good. So.
Are you loopy? Are you loopy right now?
Oh, I did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Jana's first story was a ripoff of Spy Kids entitled Spy Teens.
Oh, really? So Jana's
That was
It's
Jana?
on her blog.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
gonna try to get what her blog is.
That's awesome.
And
My first fan fiction was Lord of the Rings. I inserted 2 characters into the adventures.
so they could kiss.
brand new characters?
No, they were
or-
twins. They did not kiss each other. This is not Star Wars. Yes, brand new characters. They time traveled from the present day into the Lord of the Rings.
ooh,
Oh, that sounds fun.
And then they
envy
had to
of many a
participate in the
person.
journey. It was a pretty. It was, for me, it seemed like I had a lot of readers. That was my first experience with actually seeing the number count go up of the number of people who had read my story and being thrilled by it and getting comments and encouragement.
Oh, it's addicting.
Strangers.
I would get up
That
in
was
the middle of the night to check mine.
It's an amazing feeling to get a comment that says, like, this story is great, I love it, keep writing it, you know? That can be really good encouragement.
It can, and you feel beholden to these fans, like these people who are reading and following and talking about you. And I remember on fanfiction the first time I got put in a community, I cried. I was so excited that somebody cared enough about anything that I put out, anything I wrote, which was probably filled with grammatical errors and all kinds of just horrible typos, and yet it was good enough to go in a community. That blew me away.
I think the thing with, like, especially the thing with like doing fan fiction and stuff like that is it's a great gateway drug into writing your own fiction, and it shouldn't be looked down as like a sub, like this is like sub fiction, you know. It should be like, it's like a legitimate thing that people love, and it's actually, in my opinion, maybe something a little bit more raw or pure than when you like write a book. You need to make sure everything is perfect and make sure, like, so you're gonna get those people that are like, oh, this comma doesn't belong here, what's wrong with you? When like when you're writing fanfic, well, yeah, you get people like that, and when you're writing something like fan fiction, I mean, it's a great for young people. It's a great way to kind of explore feelings, especially when you're growing up, kind of learning things about yourself. It's a great way to kind of like, it's kind of a therapeutic thing, but also being part of a community where it's like the rawest community of like a community that people who love stories for stories, and not because like, oh, this is a perfect thing, or like, you know, busting you down, this sentence is too flowery, you know. It's just like, it's people that are jazzed about a thing and just want to hear more about that thing, and want to get it from all kinds of different angles and explore it in all kinds of different ways. It's like, it's really interesting to see how that, it's almost like with like music and like remix culture and things like that. Like fan fiction is like raw ass remix culture of like people just taking something that somebody else created and doing weird things with it, you know.
I think it's the ultimate proving ground for talent, because yes, all the hard work is done. Most of the base storylines that you're going to be working with have been kind of fleshed out. The characters have been developed. You don't have to do the hard work of coming up with personality flaws or names or relationships between characters and things like that. You can play with them, you can manipulate them, but you have to have a raw talent for being able to write to be able to do any of that. Because I have read some fantastic fan fiction. Like, I am envious of some of the people that I've read in these fan fictions. And then I have read some awful fan fiction. Like, how do you mess this up? Like,
something's published.
yeah, that's very true. I think fan fiction is great. I think it's a really cool, like 3- and 4-dimensional aspect of storytelling, because you get people involved, and so, you know, this sort of group interpretation of what happens in canon. You know, you can come, like, the fandom will just declare that some event didn't happen, and then they'll come up with tons and tons of writing to support this alternate universe where that character didn't die or something.
yeah.
And you know that you're not alone sometimes in your interpretation of some relationship or something. And yeah, I think it lowers the threshold for getting people to read your writing, so that you keep getting that encouragement to keep going and to get better and better as a writer. Because people will read fan fiction because they already know the characters, so they don't have to know you as an author necessarily. They'll read it for the characters that they love. And then you can go on as you improve and start writing your own stuff if you want. And I think fan fiction is great. I only just wrote the one Lord of the Rings one, but it was a really good experience. I'm glad I did it.
Thanks.
Kara, age 15.
I think the one thing more than anything else that I'm waiting for as an author is I cannot wait for the first day until somebody writes fan fiction about my story or makes character concept art based on something. You know, like, I can't wait for that day.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to go to DeviantArt and type in proxy and find a
What do you
thousand
think
things.
usually happens first, the art or the fanfic?
It's kind of like the chicken or the egg, isn't it?
I feel like it's probably the art, but I'm not sure.
I would say it's
I don't know.
probably the art. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think people want to like see it before they start playing around with
Hold up somewhere.
fanficking it.
And Jenna says that her blog grew in readership because of Harry Potter fanfic. So
Ah,
you're looking at like
that'll do it. Yeah.
it is, and it kind of comes with a built-in audience. I mean, there's people that love this fiction and are hungry for more, and you know you're not going to get it through the traditional channels, you know, unless you wait a long time. So it's like if you have this insatiable appetite for more of this, you want to get it, and I think those are also
I
the best.
started writing another fanfiction. Just remembered. I started writing a Sherlock one.
You were writing one
Just
now, or you?
No, I
What?
ended it.
NaNoWriMo
Other fanfic.
Friends is writing a Sherlock fanfic, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's a Sherlock
I'll get killed by
Hogwarts
packages.
cross.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love crazy crossovers. My favorites are like Stargate AUs, where they just throw a set of characters into the Stargate universe, and they're like a Stargate SG team.
There's actually quite a bit of
I love
Buffy
those.
Stargate crossover, and I'm not sure why,
Oh,
but there
really?
is. Yeah. I hopped on fanfiction just out of curiosity because we were talking about this. Currently, they're just for Harry Potter. So like the first 3 in books and the first 3 on TV, I'm going to read. Harry Potter alone has 737,000 different stories. Just Harry Potter, not like fanfiction in general, like just that one book on top. And then of course Twilight's second, unfortunately, and then Percy Jackson comes in, so it goes from like 700,000 to about 218,000 to 67,000. But then you hop over to TV, and the first top 3 are Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Glee, which I think is really interesting.
Glee. Yeah, that is
Glee
interesting.
has 110,000 stories. Supernatural has 113,000.
I really want to check out some of that Glee fan fiction now.
Yeah.
I want to see what directions it. Do you think it goes?
How do they handle the musical numbers?
Well,
I don't know.
oh, yeah, that's true. What
I
is
couldn't do Glee.
So is it a just a long like traditional like is it just like more episodes of Glee, or is it
I've
like
never looked into Glee specifically, but
Glee
my
versus
guess,
vampires? Or
my
like,
guess is it's relationships. It's probably
I-
like who got with who and who did you want to ship, and so it's people like living out the fantasy of the relationships that never happened. That would be my guess on Glee.
that one guy died of a
It's
heroin
everything.
overdose.
Like, there's everything.
So, like
Yeah.
in real life. So, like, I would write a fan fiction where, like, it was a cover and Glee was really real, and then he had to, like, drop off the, like, face of the earth because he needs to fight vampires.
See,
and other
that's-
supernatural things.
I was gonna say that's what I
Like-
love about Supernatural is that they have meta episodes within the storyline of Supernatural. They have their own book series. They have an episode called The French Mistake where they accidentally like teleport to a universe where they're the actors on the television show and they're just making fun of themselves the whole time. Like, what kind of name is Jensen? You know? And then there's another episode that's like that too, and I can't remember what. But they have a musical episode where they show up at a school that's like haunted or something. I don't remember the actual plot because all I remember is that the kids were putting on Supernatural the musical as their play. And so each of the kids was dressed up as one of the characters from the show.
I just feel like
I love meta stuff like that.
I feel like the Glee Paranormal Investigation Squad would be a really great book. Where like it's like Glee plus Scooby Doo plus like real.
Grab that one.
Scooby-Doo could totally be a paranormal investigation team.
Oh, who the
Oh,
heck-
absolutely. I mean, they pretty much are.
Well, I mean Glee.
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo.
Glee. Glee has Glee has the trappings of a Scooby Doo team. With like way more people, so you could like filter them in and out. You got like
Or
a
kill
like
them
a
off.
bench. Yeah, you got like a bench of like 20
Kill
people.
them
So like you can kill some off, you can keep some around, you can like set some out when they get tired and bring in some new ones. It's like it's a full bench.
The thing that I like about fan fiction so much is that it just encourages so much creativity. People come up with all this crazy stuff. There was this one, it's really, really hilarious Sherlock one that was like, Sherlock was a lobster, and it was under the sea, and all the characters are undersea creatures, and they were all puns, and they were all really good puns, and it was, it was really, really funny. Like
every once in a while, BuzzFeed will come out with, like, somebody will just comb through the interwebs and find a bunch of different fan fictions, and it'll be a list of, like, the 25 weirdest fan fiction ships or fan fiction crossovers, and they are weird. Like, some of them are okay, like, that would be a cool concept, and then you actually start to look into it, and it's, like, a weird relationship, or it's an idea that is so out there that you can't even deal with it.
Oh, I love it. It's good for when you're drinking too, right?
Yeah.
You can write some while you're drinking.
Ooh. Well, we should do an episode where we just like read some fanfic.
I had this idea, and this is my third beer, so it's an excellent idea.
Oh, and, it's good. It's a good idea.
So what if for Nano in November we wrote fan fictions of each other's universes?
That would be incredibly fun.
Everybody takes
so
somebody else's book.
That is a real good idea.
But we have to have
It's
read
a number 3 idea.
We have to have read the entire book though.
Yeah. So like you have to have
something,
guys.
or at least all beta read each other's stuff over.
There needs to be you need to like figure out, okay, which person are you going to be doing a fan fiction of, and then there needs to be at least enough. It doesn't. I mean, if your book's not done yet, it's not done, and you just like give them as much as they can, like as much reference material as they can. And then
everyone definitely has their world building and characters and basic setup done.
And like Nano can be kind of difficult when you're trying to write just like an original book, but I feel like if you're writing like a fan fiction of somebody else's book that it's like
just run
really
wild
fun.
with it.
It'd be like really fun. You could like really go all over the place.
Yeah, the only real problem I had when I was writing fan fiction was trying to make everything mesh together. Because what I was writing, I actually, to make the storylines line up, I had to do after Buffy ended, but I had to do it like the 4th season of Supernatural, just because I wanted these two things were similar enough that I could mesh them together. And so that was the hardest part, was actually trying to find ways of making these two storylines sync. And it was fun. It was a challenge. But there would be nights where it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning and I would wake up from like a dead sleep and be like, that's it. That's how I'm going to make it work. And I would get up and write down the story. And then I couldn't sleep for hours because I was so excited about how I was going to make chapter 18 work. And I was going to post it tomorrow after lunch,
That's another good idea, to have like a kind of like a Flintstones meet the Jetsons kind of like crossover where it's
I was going to say, Tony Valdez and I were talking about this, that it would be cool to write something or maybe draw something, I don't know, with our main characters hanging out or meeting at a bar or something.
Oh,
it would be so fun to write something with all of our characters hanging out together.
We should do, if InkCon ever happens, we could do like a sketch, even like improv.
Well, Kara, it's kind of like what we were talking about.
Yeah, Becky's idea. Murder mystery.
Yes, we were going to do a murder mystery with each other's characters.
I could totally dress up as Xenon. Asteroid Made of
That
Dragons.
sounds like a fun.
Mexican green.
There should be some sort of Inkshares multiverse where like all books exist and all characters exist. It's like some sort of like weird like
organizing that.
Really, my mind.
Yeah. Some sort of like weird like Deep Space Nine space station where like you'll just find characters from like different like, oh look, she is the end of the station today and they're wrecking something, and
it's like there's a rift in the creative universe where all Inkshares ideas can exist simultaneously.
Yeah, it's just like some sort of like there is one universe within Inkshares where all universes exist, and just MacGuffins make everything correctly.
I love it.
This is a great idea.
This is because that's the third beer, and all the best ideas come.
This is a third beer idea.
So speaking of Nano, I know the official one isn't till November, but with camp coming up in 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
Friday.
Okay, so 4 days. Are any of you guys doing anything for Camp Nano or to work through April? Besides
I
Christmas?
am.
Oh, John, you are?
I'm going to use the Camp Nano time to get the second draft of Blood Dawn written. So starting next weekend, I'm going to really go hard.
Would you like to be in a cabin that I'm running?
Now this is online, right? So people were telling me about it. So
Yes, it's
yeah,
real life, Kevin.
I like the
I'm going to send you
accountability.
an invite.
Okay, yeah.
Tell
I
me
mean,
what your name is on there. Huh?
I use.
Can I be in it too?
Are you going to do something?
Are you doing it?
No.
She just wants to be in there.
No. Then no, you can't, Kara. You have
I need to finish my book.
join.
Does that count?
Yeah,
Yes.
it could be anything.
What do you think I'm doing?
Oh, you can do
I
anything.
think
You
it's the
set
accountability.
your own goal. It's not very strict at all. There's people that aren't even working on books. They're working on, like, songs and art and other things.
Okay, well, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm finishing my book.
Yeah.
And Joe
That's what
should
I'm
join
doing.
us.
Join
Lost
it.
Generation.
Yeah, no, actually, you
Young
should throw me
Zilla.
in there to finish the Blood Dawn game, because that's due in
Oh,
There
April.
you go. Yeah.
So, I
Any
mean, that's like a
project you
perfect
want.
fit.
So we're-
I promise
You
I'm
might
gonna
not be
learn
able
JavaScript.
to win if you don't have like words to be counted at the very end, but it doesn't matter. You're still gonna get things
I
done.
generally don't win nanos anyway, so like I can just
I-
like be there and report my like, hey, I'm working on the dragons or something like that.
Yeah.
I think if you have a clear milestone, like for me, it's finish the second draft, and that's pretty ambitious. But if there's accountability, sometimes I wrote Blood Dawn's first draft with Author Accelerator, and I had to submit a set number of pages every Monday, and there was no way out of it. Well, I mean, I could have not, but I was paying for it, so it kind of seems silly to not push myself
yeah.
and submit them.
That's like
So-
when you're actually paying for classes, you take them more
Yeah.
seriously.
Absolutely.
Guys, we should do that. We should
Yeah, I think we should.
like dollars into a pool,
Ooh.
Like-
Oh,
Ooh.
and
Yeah,
then
but-
at the end we can, I don't know.
We can mail some dollars to each other.
I'm sending
I don't know.
quarters.
This is a working idea. I'm working on it. What could we reward ourselves with?
We could do something. Joe, you had 3 beers.
What's a pretty good idea?
I'm not sure on this. Hey, so we have 5 viewers now. We should get like back on topic and stuff. Like, talking about nanos.
All the viewers just got excited to realize
We
we're all
get 6 viewers now, so
scraped together.
This is what they come here
Yeah.
for. Are you
Yeah.
not entertained?
I think the show is the best when it like begins to get off the rails.
We need a 3-beer idea. So.
Yeah.
Jenna says the cost of shipping the dollars would be more than the worth of the dollars.
Touche,
I've got
Jenna.
a shipping
Touche.
hookup.
I know what I want, Joe. What was
Mhm.
that? What was the apple cider you were drinking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Angry Orchard one, the one that you
I
guys.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was Angry Orchard, but it was the one that was different than the ones that you guys had. I might still have some in my fridge. I can check it when.
Kara, I could
my
tempt you
third beer
with the
disappears.
blackberry cider.
Yeah, I would reward myself with blackberry cider.
I don't know how I would ship it to you, but
Heck yeah. Well,
I
we can meet up at WisCon.
that's right.
I think
What
you
more
can,
fitting?
you can ship
Already
alcohol. You
owe
just need to like
some artwork.
package it correctly.
Yeah,
I
put it in a
think
box
there's
that
some-
says, this is not alcohol.
No, we don't want
Not
to waste
alcohol.
money on the shipping thing. We just gotta buy something local.
Well,
I
I've
like
always
to-
wanted to go up to Minnesota anyway, so even if WisCon doesn't happen, I'll just show up on your doorstep and be like,
You can
Hey.
come to SpringCon.
I still intended to ship that alcohol to John anyway, so this just gives us a reason to like complete work and then actually ship the alcohol.
Wait, so what was the premise of there being a prize? Is this
Just to
The
motivate
idea
us to
is
get our
that
work done, to
a
like be
reward for
winners.
reaching our goal.
okay? A motivation.
I'm going to backtrack here because one of the things that I wanted to talk about with Camp Nano versus regular Nano is that I have not ever done a Nano because the entire idea of Nano terrified me. And I could not figure out why you would want to finish a book in a month. Like, what a terrible book that would be. And so I really had to get over the idea.
I mean, it's not even really about that. It's just like setting a really high bar for yourself and going all out and trying to reach it, and then realizing how much you can do in a month at the end of that time.
Well, and I thought
people aren't really walking away with like, here's my amazing novel I wrote in a month.
Well, and for so long, too, I thought, if I got involved with stuff like communities online and I wasn't dedicated to actually finishing a story or, knocking out a solid story, that I would be like the pariah of the group. And so it's really nice to know that people are just doing it as a dedicated frame of time and that their goal isn't so stringent that they don't have to finish a book at the end. Because I looked into, I read the pros and cons of, it's just dedicated time to write, but it's also a terrible way to write a book. It's like an absolutely awful way to write a book if you're trying to write a quality book. And if you're just trying to knock out a first draft,
it can be a bad way. It doesn't have to be. Like my book started for, I guess it was November 2014 for that NaNoWriMo. But I had already done years worth of world building and kind of like plotting things out. It's just that's when I sat down and like seriously started to write it, and it certainly wasn't done at the end of the month, like not at all. But
I've done that same thing several times actually.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the intention of Nano is like it's good to win it, but it's also the whole point of it is just getting your butt in the seat and committing words to the page every day, whether you hit the goal or not. You're showing yourself that it's like teaching yourself that it can be done. It's not some insurmountable goal.
And it adds a social aspect to it. You're not alone in your book writing.
Right.
Yeah. You have a support group. They have like a massive forum with every topic you could imagine about writing on there.
It's the same thing that what makes Inkshare so strong is that community aspect. Is that you're not writing alone, and that's kind of what makes it successful.
Well, like today when I put up my stuff about proxy and I was like, hey guys, rip this apart for me today, please. They did, but I wasn't offended by a single thing.
And we did.
And you did, and I needed it. And I
held up my end of the bargain.
Well, and I saw stuff and I was like, oh yeah, that sucks. I need to fix that. And even though I was kind of like, but what about this and what about this? Even though I was kind of, fleshing out ideas, I wasn't offended by a single thing you guys said, even if it was harsh, because it needed to be said. And if I want a good book, I have to put the best thing forward. So I like that we have a community that feels comfortable enough that we can really bite into each other's work critically and not feel like we're all pissed off at each other because of it.
We're good at giving tough love without being dicks,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh yeah, like this is
without
like
dropping the F-bomb.
That's always the goal.
It's also like when we're giving advice, it's kind of like take it or leave it advice. Everybody kind of understands that. So like I could make a big bunch of critique on it, and then you could say, well, no, you just like there's parts of the story you don't understand yet. So this is why I think it's this is why my idea is the best. And then we when we were looking at that page, and then we came up with the new synopsis. The new synopsis is great. You should read it because it's like really good.
Do you want me to just read that
you
line
should read it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it really went well.
Well, you should read do you have the old one? Or is it gone to
somewhere?
history?
I might just be gone forever into the ether.
Because like, it'd be interesting to see like a side by side, but if you don't have it.
I don't have. Sorry,
I'm
I'm listening and I'm talking and I'm looking through 10,000 tabs. Let me go back to hang out for a second. I have the original in my trailer, which I have not taken down yet, which was basically I think taken from that original like byline up the top.
Mm-hmm.
So I could read that.
Yeah, you can give like that one's good.
Okay, give me 1 second. Don't all talk at once.
Yeah, we're good. I was checking like for Twitter messages and then like playing with this. I found a staple remover when I was looking for my thing, and then it helped.
Just ADD kicked in.
Just found it.
Well, as a person with ADD, I fidget a lot. So having something that I can like go like this a lot with is really really good.
It looks like the alien now. Yeah, look
It's a vampire.
Don't come after me.
at
That's the
2.5
punishment for not finishing Nano.
my
Joe will come after us with that.
my inner mouth, my alien inner mouth.
Oh my god. Oh man. So for those of you that don't know, for the camps in the Camp NaNoWriMos, you're put into little cabins, which is just a virtual thing. And last summer I ran one, and this year I'm gonna be running/co-running 2 cabins. So we've got.
So you're a camp counselor?
You could say that if you want to. And there's really not much to running a cabin other than getting everyone invited and making sure it's all set up. But I also like to do a topic every day throughout the entire month, which is a lot of fun. And I recommend that if anyone else that's watching is involved in a cabin to have something that keeps people talking on there, because there's nothing worse than a dead cabin where no one talks.
Yeah.
Is there a wood stove?
Nothing worse than a dead cat.
Is there a wood stove?
If you want there to
I
be,
love wood
yes.
stoves.
Leave it to a Canadian to ask that question.
I had an apartment.
There's
Becky,
anything you imagine.
do you have your thing now?
Okay, so the thing I have on my Prezi is longer than what I
Okay.
had written.
We'll go with that, and then do the cleaned up version, and then we'll see the
It's gonna
improvement.
seem
I'm
so
looking at
ridiculous.
the page right now.
So, I have to go back to my original Prezi because the video takes too long.
Got it.
All right, click, click, click. I know it started with this line, so okay. Every god was a superhuman who evolved abilities to live symbiotically with the parasitic entity hosted by the human race. ... The soul. Click. These preternaturals guided human development and were worshipped for their wisdom, abilities, and power to change the fate of human history. The rise of a rival known as the Vapids, who evolved without a soul, the byproduct of mixing preternatural and human blood, created a crisis among their kind. And then I think the rest of it I added, and then it jumped to something along the lines of 2 millennia later, a preternatural named Max Lucas crosses paths with her first Vapid and finally discovers why she has been alone and ignorant of her ancestry for her entire life. Which we basically got down to.
Wait, hold on. Before you go into that, then so with that synopsis or with the summary, we kind of Kara disappeared off her video. What just happened?
Christine made fun of me.
You fell off the chair.
I wasn't making fun.
So what we did is kind of some of our criticisms was the proper nouns and things like that. Are there can you make a tight hook, without losing the reader, and just giving them a lot of I think our criticism was based around getting an emotional response from the reader, and also giving them questions that they'll want answered by buying your book. If it's in a draft, following it, or if it's funding, buying it. That's the ultimate goal. Is I want to hook the reader, get them in, and make them so that when they read my page, they have to pre-order it. It's just
Yeah, they want to know more.
They want to know more. So lay it on us. What's the result?
Well, then we decided on the new line that comes right under the title is, tell a girl she's basically a god and it all just goes to her head. Then, kind of a result of all
I love that.
I do too. And that was
Very straightforward.
Say it again. It got covered up a little bit. John was coughing, so let's see.
Tell a girl she's basically a god and it all just goes to her head. But even though I wrote that, I did not get to that without Joe and Christine
discussion.
Yeah,
because it was a process.
There were a lot of different processes. It was it was like distilling. It's like when you when you look at when it's 7 times distilled whiskey or something like that.
How many versions of that line did we print out or put out there before we finally decided just on one piece of one line that we all liked?
Yeah, it was
you had kind of tack that on to something else we had been working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of
And
a
then I was
throwaway
like, wait, just
Yeah.
that.
You
Yeah.
did the same thing for your book, Joe. Lost Generation.
Yeah, I may still
A while
pick at
back.
it too. I'm a like notorious picker. Like I pick at everything. I'm gonna pick with that
man,
book.
what it started off as a long, long time ago compared to what it is now, it's made a huge improvement.
Oh yeah,
so
and,
much better now.
And like, well, that I mean, that a lot of that has to do with when I was selling the book. I didn't even know what the book was about. So, so yeah, we've gone a long way.
So it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Just a lot
The book itself is a lot better too.
Joe, I also have the new beginning of the synopsis that Liam helped me with too.
Sweet.
If you want to hear that.
Ooh.
So, based on all of the different things that we had in Slack today, this is kind of what Liam came up with, and I'm totally going to steal it. So, Max Lucas had always been alone, oblivious of her extraordinary ancestry and uncertain about the abilities that make her different. When a horrific murder lifts the veil on her life and her origins, Max finds herself thrown into a war between fallen gods and those who would see them wiped out over their most precious resource, the human soul. But before all that, Max just needs a goddamn drink.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's good because it makes me feel things. I think that's like the thing that you want from a reader. It's like you want to make them feel, you know, because it's like emotions are strong, and just getting that emotions are strong and dollars are hard to part with. I think.
Yeah.
So if you want that money, if you want people to pre-order that book, you need to make them feel something, and you need to make them want more.
Jill
And see, I think
is super wise after 3 beers.
I'm telling you, 3 beers is good. That's what we thought.
Well, I was so convinced that I was coming at it from the right angle too, because when I was at the library today and I'm flipping through books that I don't know the author, I've never seen anything. You know, I saw something that was more sci-fi fantasy, so I grabbed it and took a look at it, and I'm reading through the little synopsis, and I'm like, that kind of sounds like every other book I've ever read about this particular topic. And so when I came home today, I was all, well, I have to be very specific in what I'm writing, because the reader doesn't want to mess around. Like, they want to know what they're getting into. And every time that I wrote something, you guys were like, no, too specific, too specific. And I'm like, no, it's right? And you guys are like, no, it's wrong.
Yeah, there's just because like books are published doesn't mean that you know they have really good taglines or synopsis on them.
That's
Synopses.
great advice for anybody who hasn't picked up that yet. And it's been in a few writing books that I've read, but don't use other people's writing. Use other people's writing as inspiration. Don't use it as a guideline on what you should write. Because just because a book, even if you're reading like a classic and you're like, well, I'm just going to emulate this classic and then my book will be a classic. That's not. Just because a line is in a classic book doesn't mean it's a good line.
Well, see, and that's why I was struggling with it, because basically I was reading this and thinking, no, I don't want to read this because of this synopsis, and I was like, I need to be more specific. And when you guys were arguing against that, like the voice in my head is like, no, they're hurting your book. Like, what is going on? But you guys are the readers, so I have to listen to you, because you're the ones that are making that decision.
Well,
and the tagline, it counts so much more, I think, when you're crowdfunding, because that's all you're going on. Like, you know, no one's read the whole book yet.
People read.
What's your book going to offer them that it stands out better than anything else they can get? You know, that sort of you need to offer that right away.
And see, that's what I thought I needed to do with my synopsis, like throw all the mythology out there so people knew exactly what they were getting into, and like, oh, that sounds really original, I want to buy this book, or I want to read this book. And so that's what, you know, Joe and Christine kind of had to talk me back from was, you know, you have a paragraph on here talking about the beginning.
Yeah, that was
it G. Derek that was also
I'm not sure if he was in Slack or not.
There's someone else in that
Yeah,
conversation.
I don't know. I could check it, but I think what's important is, like, you know, when you're doing an elevator pitch, it's just you gotta hook a person, and I think it's tough, especially with like proper nouns and things like that. That was a discussion that some people had on the Slack channel, probably maybe like 3 weeks, a month ago, something like that. It's just when you read that back copy and it's just like, in the 7th kingdom of blah blah blah, King Vesuvius and his Ultra Knights went through blah blah blah, and it's just like it's too much, and it doesn't mean anything to the reader. If the reader isn't invested in your world, they don't care about these like proper nouns. They just like, you got to get them on the core, like what what's
The
in
heart.
it for them. Yeah, what's the heart? What's in it for them? Like, why before they even learn about what kingdom they're in, they want to know, like, what's the story? How does it relate to me? Why should I care? You know, and I think that's really important. I think that's something that people should take away is why should I care about your story? Especially when you're on Inkshares, when you're not even published, and you're just trying to sell an idea to people. You need to really sell. You have to sell feeling. You have to sell emotion, and that's I think really important.
Really good tagline. I don't know if he even counts it as his tagline, but it says on his book cover, and it got me like that. And that is Liam dying.
He was helping me
That's
today.
a good one.
Rockets. It just grips you right away.
Yeah, we'll get Liam back one day. He's been hurt by the Inkshare system, but we need to
he'll be fine. Liam, I'll make him fine.
Yeah.
We're
gonna coax him back in. We're gonna coax him back in one day, and his book is going to be published on Inkshares. But he's got to go through the healing process first.
Okay.
Well, and I think all of this conversation that we're having right now really goes back to what we're talking about with motivation, because so much of what we're trying to do is to make readers happy.
Yeah.
And we forget
motivate the reader to read it.
Yep.
Okay, I found Liam's. Here it is. The only answers are on the moon. She has a rocket to catch.
Yeah,
That's enough for me. Who is she?
Yeah.
I want to know.
And that's what you want. That's what you want. You want to you have the about. That's like the back cover is like this your second chance. It's kind of like if your tagline doesn't catch the reader, you're a back cover, or you're about the book on Inkshares is you're like, I've kind of gotten the door open and I need to seal the deal. But ideally, you want that first tagline to be the thing where somebody reads it and they say, "Yep, this is the book for me. I got to check this out." Because if you haven't gotten them on the first line, you've still got a chance to get them, but you've already lost them a little bit.
And big FYI to everyone that's currently crowdfunding or even just in the draft phase, make sure you have a tagline. If the book doesn't have one, I'm not going to check it out.
Yeah. No one is going to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple that don't have them.
especially
in the contests.
Right. Yeah.
Your page is your shop window. You need to make sure that is going to do It's going to do the work for you once someone is there.
Yeah. Especially if you're in a contest and. And
you're looking at all of the submissions.
When you're in a contest, and I'm looking at the contest grid, there's two things that I see. I see the cover, and I see the cover, the title, and the summary, or not the summary, but the summary. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing your hook, your title, and your cover, and when I'm looking at that big grid, it's probably the cover that's going to say I should look at this one because that's kind of you're looking at a 3 by whatever grid of how many books depending on the contest and then once you see one that catches your eye, you've got that one chance to look at that tagline and say maybe it's the title, maybe the title will hook you, but it's mostly the tagline. What's this book about? Okay, I want that.
Yeah, don't
leave
it blank.
Could be a lot of different things is the thing. It could be the title, it could be the cover, it could be the tagline. And you
have to put something in there
to be drawn in by all of those things.
Yeah, but those are the three things. Those are the three things when somebody's looking at a grid of all the books. Those are the only.
Because when the contests are going on, I look at that all the time and look try to find ones that are maybe undiscovered to try to promote them if they're if they look really good. But if they don't have that filled out, I'm not going to click on it.
Yeah.
I was just browsing the other day just because I hadn't done it in a while and I wanted to see what new stuff was up, especially since after the contest. And I was on a page and I read a synopsis and I was really interested in the story, and then I went to look for excerpts or about the author information. None of it was there. It was just a couple of paragraph synopsis and then nothing else but a title. I was like, and you're selling pre-orders? Are you insane? Have fun doing this a second time. Because that's what's going to happen. Like, no one's going to invest in a book that doesn't have any information. Because, like what you guys were saying, you know, I at least had stuff out there. It needed to be fixed, granted, but I was at least trying to get people invested in my world with character pictures and many, many excerpts and all kinds of, you know, explanations. But this person was just like, here's my stuff, take it or leave it. Like, well, I'm going to leave it, sorry.
It's a competitive market.
It might be in progress. That's always possible.
Yeah,
I mean, they were selling pre-orders.
But a lot of times people jump in.
Yeah, some people don't know.
And then they kind of add to it as the weeks go by.
Yeah, not everyone is as thoroughly prepared as you are.
And I think a lot of
thoroughly prepared.
I think a lot of people come to Inkshares available to them, like they don't know about our Goodreads author group. They might not even know about the forum. They might not know where they could access some help to learn more about the system. So I think you see a lot of those projects where it's just someone kind of putting a placeholder there. And if there was a way to get them involved in our, like, bring them into the community and
now there
other
is.
authors. That's
now
right.
we can direct message them if they follow. Yeah.
What surprises me is even before I was on Goodreads or before I had done a lot of the prep work for my page or anything, I was looking at other authors' pages and checking out what they had. And the reason I had art up is because Kara had art up. So I'm just surprised that people don't, at least, even if you don't have some kind of connection to the community yet, if you're working on that, by looking at people who are selling books and selling decent amounts of copies, why are you not trying to emulate the system that's working for them?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the first thing that I did when I thought about doing this was check out the winners of the previous contest. I went and looked at Joe's book, Asteroid Made of Dragons.
Sorry.
Joe's book was a reference for me,
My
too.
page is just an example of, like, how not to sell.
I mean, I can tell you this.
I love the
your book is
trailer video.
completely different from what I thought it was based on looking at your page.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
There were
And
plenty of reasons
so
for
much
that.
better. Your book is so much better than I thought it was. You know, and it made me so mad at first when I realized all of these cool things in your book that you're not telling people are there.
It'll get out. I mean, like, it'll trickle out.
No, it'll trickle out. Tell people how cool your book is.
The book is in production right now. I'm writing it, and as it, like, solidifies and I go through the Inkshares process. Don't worry, like, when I start going through the editing process, I'll trickle that information. I've got a plan.
It's okay. I'll tell people about it.
you can be like the banner
I'll be
holder
like,
for
people, listen to me right now, okay? This is future noir.
I said Thomas Arnold. I was doing a thing. He was in the Becky's channel, and I was just talking about, like, oh, if you compare it to something they already know, and that will help people identify with your book and have a frame of reference for your book. Say, like, oh, if I like this, you'll like this. And so I said mine was The Warriors meets Cool Hand Luke, and Thomas Arnold said, like, I think he said something like, "You've sold all the books ever with that."
Nice.
So that was a good hook, I guess.
So while we're talking about Joe, little birdie tells me that last week was his birthday.
Yeah.
I think we should drink share a little birthday song for Joe.
Yeah, if you
guys
want.
ready?
I'm gonna look at Sheet and have you guys do this.
Yeah. All right. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God.
Birthday.
Oh man, don't lie to me, man.
Happy birthday, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Oh, I hope there are not many more if we sing it like that.
Oh my gosh. We
What
lost a
was going
viewer
on,
when that
guys?
happened.
Wait,
Oh.
If I lost it, they literally just died.
Yeah.
going on?
We had 4 viewers and now we have 3 because of the birthday song.
We lost you. Happy birthday.
Oh no, somebody's back. Somebody's back.
They had
just
to
went away
leave.
just so that they
It's
wouldn't have to
understandable.
listen to the singing. Then they came back.
So is there? So we got about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else that we want to touch on before we start wrapping it up?
Does anyone have? Let's see. Well, we should talk about the new contest that was announced today.
Right.
Um,
There's a new
Science fiction.
contest.
new contest today.
Starts on the 4th.
I didn't even look. Duh, I was so busy.
Yeah, it's not out yet. It starts on the 4th, if I read it correctly, and it's hard science fiction. So make sure you actually submit a hard science fiction book and not just a book that you say is hard science fiction, because the winners are actually going to go through, I forget the name of the group, but it was around, and now I don't have it in front of me, but
It's the group that does science stuff for like the Academy of Motion Pictures and Science.
yeah, so like
Mhm.
real ass science
Yeah.
people are going to be looking at your book. So
Yeah.
don't just like
Actually.
submit a book that like science people are going to judge you. So
Well, they're not. They're gonna. I thought they were gonna help out the top 5, or are they
top
gonna
5
be
or
part
top
of
3?
judging?
I think it
I
was
didn't
just
see
like
anything about the top 5.
Or maybe
I
it
think
was
it
top
was just
3.
like I think it was just the winners. So like the top
Okay.
3.
Just the top 3.
And I'm not
I made
100%
that
on it, but I'm guessing it will just like be like part of the developmental edit to like also have these guys vet your book and make sure that like it actually is
Accurate.
sciencey enough.
Which will be cool, but I bet it's
Super
going to
cool.
scare away some people.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it does just invite a lot of people that want to write like real ass science fiction books or hard science books because like my books have like very little science in them. They're future-ish, and like I do research on them, but like it's like I wouldn't call my books like hard science fiction books, you know. So it's going to be really interesting to get some of those books that like just talk about the future, things like that, and in a real way that also makes them interesting fiction.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens.
So what else is new?
In the world of Inkshares,
Yeah.
I think everything's going kind of smoothly. We had a little bit of a lull from the last contest. You always get that, in between contests, you get a little bit of like sleepy time where everybody's
Yeah, it gets quiet.
still recovering. Like the forums tend to die down, and everybody kind of like goes into hibernation after the exhausting, month or month and a half of selling books.
Yeah. And this is such a lull time of year on top of that, the end of winter.
Yeah.
People are slowly waking up, getting ready for spring.
I'm going to shoot a thing while you guys talk, I'm going to shoot a thing into the mastermind to see if anybody has questions. We'll answer it. We'll do a little Q&A.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll check our Twitter. Becky, did you have an opinion to share?
I do have an opinion to share, and it's based on kind of what we were talking about with me working on proxy stuff, because I have decided this week, being on spring break, that I was going to get myself in gear, and I was going to hopefully finish my draft during Nano, and then May I was going to get like everything in order, and I want to do pre-sales this summer. So the last couple of days I've been sitting down and getting my stuff, like I've been getting my house in order. And so I kind of just like my unsolicited advice today, this is the official first Becky's unsolicited advice, is if you're going to sell pre-orders, get your shit in order. Like you go to people, ask their opinions, have them be critical, and fix your shit. Because you don't want people who don't know you to berate you. Like, I'm so glad that I had this today because it was a safe space. I trust these people's opinions. They are creative. They are smart. They have come before me. They know what they're talking about. Most of this is based on poor experiences that they've had, and they're just trying to shelter me from having to do that. And so if you are thinking about doing something like this summer, seek out people who have done this. Don't be prideful. Don't think, oh, I have the best story ever. It'll carry itself. Because even though people were giving me compliments up until this point, I still have a lot of work to do, and I need to accept that. So my unsolicited advice today is get your house in order.
That's good advice. We all want to be like Katie McKenna, right? start your pre-order campaign, and bam,
Oh, that was amazing.
2-3 days.
Yeah, that was good. I think
reached
she's
full
a
publishing.
professional crowdfunder, or professional fundraiser. So she's got all the skills. She needs to try to share some of that. So we had a question from the audience. If the sun is on fire, how come there's no smoke?
Because it's fusion and fission.
Yeah, let's have the
not
teacher
on fire.
answer.
I guess if we're going with the hypothetical, if the sun is on fire,
If the sun is
then we're probably going to die pretty soon.
I say if the sun is on fire, let the motherfucker burn. Raise the roof.
Becky, give us a short drunk science answer of why the sun is not on fire.
Well, first off, the sun is plasma. It's not an actual burning thing.
It's not burning.
Yeah, and so it's burning at such a high temperature that there is no smoke. And so I can't remember, is it fusion or fission? Do any of you guys know which one's going on inside the sun?
Fission.
It's fission. Okay.
Fusion is nuclear power, and then fission is
So fission. It's fission, and that's why there is no
The
smoke.
audience can correct us if we're wrong.
They will too.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure they will.
We can crowdsource the hard science of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to do, the reason there's no smoke is because it's either A, burning so hot that there would be no smoke, or there is nothing to burn because it's plasma.
Big ball of plasma. There's your
It's
answer.
not on
Educated.
It's big
Christopher, I hope you're
Not
satisfied
on
with your
fire, that's
answer.
why there's
It
no
is a ball of plasma in the sky that gives the sweet, delicious life.
Yes. So we also have a first story that came in.
Oh.
John, you want to read that for us?
Now, this is in the chat terminal in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did this come from?
I can't find it on Twitter.
Okay. Well,
This came
I
from
gave it to you.
Malkuth. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to say it.
Highwine?
oh, that was
Yeah, I
highlighted.
think it's Malkuth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my first story was a cliche-ridden high fantasy romance that tried too hard to be like the Wheel of Time. Shudders.
That's a good start though. I mean, that's that's like I always consider when writing to aim really, really high. And even if you crap it up, it's still pretty good. So you take what you love and take the best of what you love and try to emulate that. And like we said with the fan fiction, you'll start with emulation and you'll start with this is just essentially a copy of what I love. But the more you do it, the more your original ideas your original what ifs will start to spring from that. And after a time, it's going to be your story.
Well, like I said, I cannibalize from my own fan fiction all the time just because I'll say something that in another context, a string of dialogue works perfectly. I actually did that the other day. I went back and there was something specifically that I described, like someone being crazy, but instead of just saying crazy, I said that their brain was like a funhouse mirror. Like, what is it? Oh, it's all funhouse mirrors up in that attic. And I always liked that line so much, so I went back and was like, yep, I'm using that line. And it was from my Buffy fanfic.
Yeah, the second
Well,
book.
they're
The second book that I went
trying
on
to
to.
emulate the way that. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Kara.
So just the idea that trying to emulate Joss Whedon's dialogue is a good way to improve, I think, the dialogue.
Yeah.
That was one of the best compliments that I got when I was writing that fan fiction was how people I always get compliments on my characters anyway. Like I feel like that's my strongest suit is my dialogue and my character writing. But when people tell you that you write like a character sounds, that's like the ultimate compliment. Because first off, especially with Joss Whedon, everyone loves Joss Whedon. He's to be loved. But when you can emulate Whedon himself and get away with it, that's like gold standard, man.
Very true.
So what is everybody doing outside of writing and reading? Does anybody have any hobbies or things that are exciting this week that they want to share with the audience?
This week.
This week, this month, whatever.
I'm mostly just gearing up for the Camp NaNoWriMo right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing. I'm just living this life right now.
It's gonna be real intense. So I'm trying to get chores done. I do a lot of laundry so I can focus come Friday.
I bought a like kind of like a snap together Gundam model for me and Miro to build together.
Oh.
Oh, that'd be cool.
To like get his like, I'm trying to really indoctrinate my kid into like loving like science fiction and weird like giant robots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
He will. Don't worry.
you know,
They're not.
well, you
they're,
never know.
they're
Like
hard not to
everybody's different. Everybody.
I guess
grows
he
up.
could rebel against you.
Yeah, he could really. I
hate
I hate robots, Dad. Books are dumb.
No chance.
Well, I have my job and children and family. I'm trying to figure out how to go on a writer's retreat all by myself.
Oh.
To just because I am so close. I'm so close to being done.
And by
Just
writer's
need
retreat, you
time.
mean with all your friends from Drinkshares, right?
Well, I mean,
I was
I'm
thinking
doing
about like
something
getting
that
a
doesn't
beach
cost
house.
$0,
Oh,
So-
$0 is hard.
and so that's hard. Yes, it's been hard to figure it out. I haven't found.
Let's
a
make
$0
our own, Kara. Okay, I'm gonna come up to Minnesota because it's beautiful, and I'm gonna bring blackberry cider, and we're gonna rent a cabin on one of the 10,000 lakes, and we are gonna have our own personal writers retreat.
You can rent cabins for pretty cheap from like the state parks and state
Yeah.
parks.
We've stayed in some here in Illinois. They're really nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hey, we just got
And
another good question from the audience. This question is asked: how do folks approach researching for science fiction and incorporating the science? You know, and then it says, unless this is a fantasy crew.
It's a mixed
I
crew.
bow out.
It is a mixed crew, but I think also that it's definitely in fantasy. There's also research, you know, involved.
Oh, yeah.
So, does anybody want to field that question?
That's like a much bigger question than
That's
a
an
negative
episode.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
can
can give
answer
like,
it really
you can
fast,
give like a maybe just give a brief answer.
I have a really fast answer.
We
My
can
really
do,
fast
like,
answer
a
is
research episode.
I prefer to ask people that I know about things. So, like, my brother-in-law is an engineer, and so I was asking him all sorts of stuff about creative things that I could do for engines, spaceship engines, and the way that I might do travel through outer space, and he's giving me ideas based on his knowledge.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because my sister's a nurse, and first of all, I texted her and said, I'm going to apologize if the series of text messages puts you on a list somewhere, but I said, using your
Writer's
knowledge,
list.
I said, using your knowledge of brain anatomy, how would you lobotomize someone?
Yep. I mean, I've had my fair share of strange Google searches. Strange
Oh, yeah.
tabs open.
Oh, we should talk about that as like a full topic.
My friend Jessica had a great book, and it was from like the early 90s or late 80s, I'm not sure, so I steal it all the time. But it was basically a companion for writers, and it was stuff to help you with research. So, like, different types of diseases and their symptoms, or like mental disorders, or populations of cities, and it was just random facts. But it was meant to be a companion for when you're writing, so if you need a quick reference to something, you had it. And I don't know why there aren't a million of those.
There should be.
Because that was pre-internet. That's why.
That's true.
Mm.
But I would much rather have one of those, quite honestly.
You could print out the internet.
I could. And then I would win. Does that mean I win the internet?
Print the
Oh.
internet.
Right. Well, on the winning the internet note, let's all say goodnight to everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks
so
for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. If for anybody that just kind of jumps on the stream, if you're not familiar with us, we're all part of the Drinkshares community. It's a place where writers can go and solicit their books, collect pre-orders, and if you collect enough, your book gets published. So it's kind of a step in between self-publishing and going through a traditional publishing house. If you are a writer and you are catching this and you like the things that we're saying, I encourage you to join the community. It's a really good one. On top of that, we do these episodes every 2 weeks on a Monday, generally. I think that's kind of where we're going to keep it. So if you like what we're saying, check out, subscribe to this channel. Feel free to drop a comment, ask us questions. You can get with us on Twitter at Drinkshares
Yeah, you can.
LC. And feel free to send us gifts, questions, goofy stuff, whatever you
Good.
want.
Way to lead with the
Dollars in the mail.
Gifts are the best.
Yeah.
Start a
Alcoholic
dance war with
gifts.
us, whatever you need.
Drink
Just-
suggestions would be good, actually.
drink
John.
should-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make your own
Recipes.
drinks if you want to.
Oh yeah, homemade
I-
recipes.
Yeah, I will follow the power of an idea.
So yeah, keep in touch with us. Subscribe to the channel. Watch our. If you haven't seen our old episodes, check out our old episodes.
All one of them.
Yeah. No, there's two because the episode
Do we
0 is on
consider
there.
episode 0 an actual episode?
It's a secret episode.
It's an episode for people that are cool and want to like just see the raw, unadulterated madness that is our first unscripted
Where
episode.
we got whipped into shape.
it's like the rookie
Good
episode.
episode.
Yeah. So thanks for spending this time with us and listening to us rant. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope
Thanks
you'll
for all
come
the
back.
questions.
Yeah, the questions are
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
questions. We hope to take more of that and do more audience participation in the future. And
Our next episode should be April 11th, if I'm looking at my
Yes.
calendar right. Okay.
Accurate.
yep.
411.
April 11th.
The
at-
information episode.
Yes, information. So April 11th at 8 Central.
Yep.
And if
So-
you can't watch the live stream, you can always watch the video of the live stream on the same link. Am I correct, Joe?
Yes, the link, the after the show, it's still going to be there. It will be there forever until
Oh no.
it
Don't
all
fall
like,
asleep.
it all sets a fire on some sort of apocalypse. So join us. This is
Yep.
Drinkshares' last call, and we hope
And
you all
Until
enjoy
then,
it.
Until then.
Until then,
No,
a
you
lot
have
of us
to
are
sing
going to
the
go to
thing.
sleep. So
No, may your drinks
Drinks
be shared.
I've got to go and get better.
And the odds be ever in your favor.
And get some
No.
sleep.
good night. Good night.
Good night.
good
Okay,
night.
good night.